And President Trump pushing back against his own energy secretary after Chris Wright warned gas prices may not drop below $3 a gallon until next year. Listen.
I don't know. That could happen later this year. That might not happen until next year. But prices have likely peaked, and they'll start going down. Certainly with a resolution of this conflict, you'll see prices go down. Prices across the board on energy prices will go down.
But it might not be under $3 a gallon until 2027.
Under $3 a gallon is pretty tremendous in an inflation-adjusted terms.
All right. Well, according to AAA, the average price of gas in the U.S. about $4 a gallon Monday morning. Joining me now is Matt Coday, president of the Oil and Gas Workers Association. Matt, I got to tell you, I think you did a great service to the nation. You posted a video on X explaining exactly why gas prices were going up. And I want you to explain to our audience, why are gas prices going up?
Man, thank you, Todd. It was great to just kind of get that education out there, because a lot of people don't understand that in addition to oil being a global commodity, a lot of our refinery, well, they're set up to process a heavier crude oil than what we produce here in the United States. And so whenever people look at what they ask the question, so wait a minute, if we have all this oil here in America, why are my gas prices going up? It's a real good question. And once you understand the disconnect between the oil that we produce here and the way the refineries are set up, you start to understand that, contrary to what Tom Steyer and Gavin Newsom say, no, it's not Trump's fault.
Yeah, and the good news here is that American oil is a very hot commodity right now. President Trump writing this on Truth Social, hundreds of ships bound for Texas, Louisiana, Alaska to get their oil. Are we going to have to put up traffic lights there in the Gulf of America?
Look, we don't believe in traffic lights. It's all green. Come load up here. America's oil and gas workers stand ready to power the nation and fuel the world.
You know, one of the big impacts, and I think it's really a process, and correct me if I'm wrong here, really educating folks about some of the things you guys have to deal with. And one of those are these radical environmentalists, the tree huggers. And I'm wondering what sort of an impact are they having on the American oil industry?
Well, if you look at that, for years, these radical environmentalists, and I always use that word in quotation marks, but a lot of them, the Sierra Club that wants to completely shut down all oil and gas production, and others like the Center for Biological Diversity, Environmental Defense Fund, My Mother Was a Tree, or, they've got a ton of different names. But sometimes they're the loudest voices. And so a lot of people hear their propaganda ad nauseum, and they start to believe that A, there's a climate crisis, or B, that the oil and gas industry is a bunch of evil, awful people. Let me tell you what, the people who work in the oil and gas industry here in the United States are some of the finest people from coast to coast. And I'm not talking about just Republicans. They're Democrats who work in the oil and gas industry. And so what we need is consistent messaging all across the country for people who say, you know what, whether we're a Republican, whether we're a Democrat, we love the oil and gas industry.
You know, I don't think people really understand that our way of life is made possible by what those men are doing every single day, and that is very dangerous work. Unless you watch Landman, a lot of folks probably have no idea exactly how hard that work is.
You know, you're right, and Taylor Sheridan does a great job with that. Of course, my favorite Taylor Sheridan is Mayor of Kingstown, also dangerous. What he's doing, though, is showing people that the oil and gas industry here in America is a great living. You know, whenever we talk about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's DEI policies, heck, the oil and gas industry has been DEI since before it was cool, because we don't care what color you are, how much money you have, what your education is. You come out to the oil field and you can make a great living.
Well said. And look, I think this bears pointing out as well as things, people may be frustrated at paying that high price at the gas pump right now, but truck drivers have been really hit hard with diesel prices, and folks don't take that into consideration when they realize maybe the prices haven't gone down at the grocery store and the big box stores. How soon do you anticipate those prices might be coming down?
Look, I'm going to go with what President Trump said. I agree with President Trump. As soon as the Strait of Hormuz is stabilized and flows resume their normal routes, oil prices and thus gas prices should start coming down almost immediately. I also agree with what Secretary Wright said, another brilliant oil and gas man. And he said, look, it's going to take a little bit longer. And I think that Secretary Wright is just trying to temper expectations so that the Chris Murphys of the world don't say in 2 weeks, well, gosh, my gas isn't $1.78 again.
Yeah, well said. All right, Matt, we're going to have to leave it there. And I'm with you, Mayor of Kingstown. Great show. All right, thank you, my friends.